Welcome again to GGs Talk, the space where we decode leadership and EI and the power of authentic conversation. Today, I'm joined by the incredible Shipra, a master trainer who is transforming workspaces by creating safe, inclusive, and empowering cultures where her expertise is in prevention of sexual harassment. But apart from that, she is creating awareness through all the media channels that she can approach to. So, welcome, Shipra, again to the show.
Namaskar, Geetha. It's good to be back. And to all our listeners, welcome back to this particular podcast.
We have had two more episodes behind it in which we spoke about gender sensitivity and awareness. So, now we
Correct.
are getting into workspaces. So today, as you all know, the workspaces are all inclusive. That means all kind of genders are involved in workspaces. Now we do not have say workspaces for men and women alone. No, it's inclusive. So why POSH is a leadership responsibility now than ever before? And why do you think, Shipra, that the awareness should go beyond compliance? Because compliance is a necessity, but why POSH should go beyond compliance in all the organization to create a safety net for the people out there?
Thank you, Geetha. Thank you for coming up with this a very important question that everybody knows that POSH Act 2013 is a compliance requirement, is a statutory requirement. But what is important, as you correctly pointed out yourself, is the culture. So the real safety net is primarily the culture that we have in our workspaces. So organizations, every single organization, whether it supports offline work or a digital online work or a hybrid kind of work, needs to go beyond its policies implementation and work on the practice. Every and single organization has to work on psychological safety. And what do we mean by that? We mean that all employees, as you correctly pointed out, irrespective of their gender, whether they are males, females, transgender, or different kind of sexualities, they should feel free, absolutely free. One, to voice any kind of concerns that they have, to give feedbacks that they have, and share their ideas without fear of any kind of ridicule or retaliation. That kind of psychological safety is paramount. Now, how can this happen? As you also specifically said about leadership. So, here leadership roles are very important. The leadership in any organization needs to model the kind of behavioral aspects which they want the entire organization to follow suit. How can that happen? That can happen only when leaders are very open to discuss issues related with respect, inclusion, and fairness, because the rest of the employees will definitely going to mirror these values. So it is something which percolates right from the top towards the bottom. It is not something which is going to happen from the bottommost to the topmost. Then, and when we talk about respect and when we talk about issues which are related with sexual harassment per se, then we really need to understand that we need to involve people and engage people into it. So a lot of audiences here is basically acting as bystanders. Now we all know who are bystanders. So bystanders are those who simply, stand and watch, and they do not take any actions as much as they would want to, primarily out of hesitation, primarily out of some kind of fear, or maybe because they don't know what they can do or what they could do in situations. So basically training these employees to intervene very respectfully when they witness such kind of inappropriate behaviors. So marking the parameters of inappropriate behavior and also showcasing them as collective responsibility, not the sole responsibility only of the leadership or of the IC or of the manager or only of the HR. So that is important. Again, going back to the same thing, that respect is definitely not only about gender, it's not gender specific. It is not culture specific. It is not generation specific. It is not hierarchy specific. Respect is respect. So when there is respect from D class to, the high class employees, the blue collar employees, the white collar employees, the executives, the middle management, the senior management, everybody is respected. Every single person is given that space of respect. That would create that kind of a culture. Now to build this, we can have different kind of channels, apart from your routine training programs. That could you have the awareness training sessions that we could have. We could have a certain kind of reporting lines, which are anonymous. You could have certain boxes where people could note down their notes if they have noticed something, and they could write it down and put it in the box without any fear. We could have volunteer groups, employee resource groups, who could be going around sensitizing people. We could have access to not exactly psychologists, but people who are matured enough to counsel others, mentors who could build confidence so that help is available as and when they solicit that kind of help. So I think all these things are really going to help every single workspace to become an inclusive workspace in real sense.
So, as you heard, if you are from an HR professional or you are a change maker or leader, then this podcast is for you. So, Shipra, how can leaders become more aware? Like, there is never a thing called black and white, isn't it? When POSH is applied, we
Correct.
cannot say that this is black and this is white. There are gray areas definitely there involved. So something might be
Correct.
a simple sentence for someone, but the other person might get offended. In that case, how is POSH applied?
Correct. I think I talked about respect right in the beginning. What is important for us to understand is that we need to respect all of us, irrespective of the sex that we proclaim to have. We need to respect each other's personal space and boundaries. One, we need to be very conscious of the language that we use and the humor that we bring in via that language. Then, as you have asked a very important question, that what could be okay for me could not be okay for the next person. There is a high possibility. So, we need to understand about the cultural sensitivity also, right? There are many cultures. For example, in our own country, if you're 2 minutes late or 3 minutes late, it is like, we'll say chalta hai. That's absolutely fine. Whereas in the Japanese culture, if you're late even by 10 seconds, that is considered to be very rude and disrespectful. In India, in most of the, I would say, video conference calls, which are supposed to have face to face, many times people are, speaking to each other, listening to each other, interacting with each other, attending online sessions with their video mode off. What's the point on having then those video conference calls? That is so very disrespectful. The Japanese find it very disrespectful. So, cultural sensitization across the cultures is more important, particularly now that we've become global, as I just remarked earlier, because the timelines are blurring. And then there are many times when, there are people who are bystanders, onlookers, we can call them. They get to know something, they witness something, but they keep mum and they keep silent. So, a request to all these kind of people, if you have got a IC at your place, the internal committee at your place, even if that is not there, you've got a, very robust and functional HR at your place, kindly go and report it. This is about somebody's respect. Posh is not about, trying to kill anybody's good intention. Posh is all about trying to understand one simple fact that nobody should stop coming to the office, offline or online, because of any kind of fear in their mind. Now, since you've said that there will be certain gray areas, it can never be about, black and white. So I think for such kind of things, we should involve POSH enablers. We should, request them to give us ample number of situations and examples which can help people understand. One thing that people need to understand is it is always about the impact. It's not about the intention. So once people become mindful of that, I think then people will think twice, particularly in their workspaces, think twice before, passing on any kind of a meme in their WhatsApp groups, or, passing on, or, forwarding any kind of jokes, or just, very casually, you know, making remarks. So, since you have touched upon this point, let me give you a very, very common example. In fact, this is an example which I would like to, brand it as a comment, and people would definitely, our audience would treat it as oh, this is a very nice or a friendly comment. So, let us debate whether this is a nice, friendly comment, or this could be also a harassment. And
Sure.
that also an harassment which can be booked under POSH. So a very, very common one. Let's say, see, both of us are into this meeting today, and let's say I'm your boss, and I remark this, wow, Geeta, you look so stunning today. I mean, you should dress like this more often, right? And I'm saying this with all kind of smile, and others are also watching, and because there are others also in this meeting. Okay. Now, from my end, this could be a compliment, or I may insist that this is a compliment. There are certain pointers here. How can we find out whether this is a sexual harassment case or not? First, was this remark welcomed by Geeta? Did Geeta welcome this remark? Second, how did Geeta feel after receiving this comment from me? Third, even if Shipra's intention was harmless, what does POSH Act say on this?
Mhm.
So, if Geeta found it welcome, the case is over. If Geeta was not uncomfortable, the case is over. We don't need to even discuss about it. The discussion comes only and only when Geeta did not find this comment as a compliment.
Mm.
Geeta became uncomfortable. Geeta thought this has been said in front of so many people. This is so very embarrassing, right? Now let's revert to POSH Act. So POSH Act says if there is something of verbal nature, this is verbal because this
Right.
has been spoken,
Mhm.
and it has led to some kind of an emotional or mental impact on the recipient, then it
Mhm.
is POSH Act.
So it is how the recipient of any comment takes it. If the person is
Exactly.
offended, obviously it comes under POSH. Am I right?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So, Shipra, in that case, there are many cases in organizations, even I have faced it in my organization, that when an incident takes place, bystanders are numb. They are literally numb. How can we effectively empower the bystanders to take initiative effectively so that to encourage that the emotional response at that moment happens? So, how do you
Yes.
educate them or empower them to take a stand and stand for the right thing?
Geeta, we are talking about morality here. We are talking about integrity here. And unfortunately, morality and integrity are things which can never be taught.
Right.
They are something which are cultivated and they cannot be taught. Nobody can teach. This is something which comes from within. And it will come from within only when you start owning up your spaces. Now, what the problem is this, in most of the workspaces, people go there to, perform a certain kind of a duty or a job and earn the remuneration out of it. There is no sense of accountability. And when there is lack of accountability, lack of ownership, how do you expect such people who do not even sense that it is wrong, that they will stand up for you? And that is why I said we need to have regular workshops.
Hmm.
And that is the need. And when we talk about regular workshops, it cannot be a lecture. Maybe we could show a small video We could, shoot certain videos. You could use a lot of Bollywood movies. In fact, our Bollywood movies are,
Are full of it.
full of sexual oriented content.
Right.
So you don't even have to, apply too much of brains on that. If I would talk about movies of 90s, it was like the lyrics of the songs, छेड़ेंगे हम तुझको लड़की है तू, ulala ulala, that song. Okay, blatantly, it's this is going on. Just imagine. Then outside the college, you have those whistling Romeos. Blatantly, they are saying, and then you've got persistent stalkers. Bollywood, has this habit of, sort of eulogizing those persistent stalkers. This hero is after the life of the heroine. राइट पल भर के लिए कोई हमें हाँ कर दे झूठा ही सही
Hmm.
और हम तो तेरे आशिक हैं इतने पुराने चाहे तू माने चाहे तू ना माने so we are not even bothered whether your hana doesn't even count. I'm going to pester you, I'm going to stalk you, and at the end the heroine will become called, oh my god, he's so nice, he's after my life, so let me say yes to him. People forget these are the very same stalkers who are basically throwing acid on people
Yes.
when they say no. So let us not romanticize things.
Shipra, I was asking, is singing songs the way you said to a lady counterpart or to someone else in the office premises or in the college or in organizations or workspaces still does it come under posh?
Yes, absolutely, because song is verbal
Okay.
and it is a lured song,
Hmm. Okay.
right?
Getting it.
Kundi mat kharkao raja, and with all kind of gestures, it's so very lured. Aaj ki raat, husn
Hmm.
ka maja lijiye, so very suggestive.
Okay.
If you're singing a song with your friends, both of you are enjoying, doesn't matter.
Hmm.
But I would say it still matters because you're in a workspace.
Hmm.
She may say it's okay what happens, between both of us there at a
Hmm.
personal space.
Hmm.
Why did you, approach me with this kind of a song in front of 10 people?
Then it goes under
That is
posh.
not okay. And it will.
Okay.
It is offensive. Somebody comes and says and winks me, and Shipra, then I'll say, what the hell?
Obviously.
You are trying to malign my reputation in my organization.
Hmm.
The lady may think it that way. I am somebody who's worked very hard to reach here.
Hmm.
You just barge in and then you say, and they say, oh, ho, ho, we were so, good together when we went out together. Okay, but you've forgotten the space where we are operating right now.
Good. That was a
So,
good
verbal,
one.
please understand, everybody who are listening, verbal is words. Words can be written, words can be spoken. Everything which can be spoken, in a song or anything can be written, anything spoken, written through a poster, meme, joke, everything qualifies under POSH Act 2013 if it has hurt mentally, emotionally, psychologically the recipient specifically is a female. That is where POSH Act becomes applicable. Because as of now, POSH Act is applicable only for women victims, female victims.
Okay. Shipra, when say about workspaces, there are subtle kind of disbalance in power. And at these instances, there are chances of harassment happening. And how can leaders understand these moments and save those things from happening?
So, Geeta, this is again a very important question. I always believe and feel that change always starts from the top, not from the bottom. So, I think the first and foremost thing is that first we have sensitization of the top leadership so that then it percolates to the management and then to the executive level and then to the D class employees. And again, as a precursor of any kind of POSH workshop, what is important is what we have discussed in the earlier two sessions is gender sensitization. Unless and until we have a workshop or awareness on gender sensitization and gender imbalance, we will not be able to understand these subtle, you would say, pointers which are happening day in and day out at our workspaces. So, gender discrimination, as what people usually say, or gender inequality, where is it stemming from? One really needs to understand that where is all this coming from. So, particularly if I take this in global perspective and specifically with our country also, one is basically the easy target. Second is sense of the feelings of superiority amongst the perpetrators. Third, a free opportunity. Nobody is going to, stop me from doing anything. I have a free will of doing things my way, right? As they say, highway or my way nowadays. A feeling of insecurity coming across a person who basically makes you feel very small because this person itself, and this person in this case is female, makes you feel very small, makes you feel very diminished. It hurts your ego. Next, you are in a position of power and authority. So that gives you a sense of entitlement that I can do anything and go ahead with it, right? And this harassment can be perpetrated on anybody, not necessarily on females. It could be on males also. It could be on other, sex also. But when we talk of POSH Act, I want to reiterate, we are talking of females only. But I want my audiences to know sexual harassment can take place with anybody. POSH Act basically, provides, I would say, some kind of justice to female victims. But that does not mean that others who feel sexually harassed, they do not have anywhere to go to. They can definitely go to law. Law has got various kind of a law in the sense the Indian Constitution has various kind of IPC laws which will take care of that. They can definitely go and report to HR also. They can go to police station also. They can approach the court directly also. Now, coming back to this point which we were discussing, and the last one is male dominance. Now, where is this coming from? This is primarily coming from patriarchal mindset. So, all these things are intertwined with all these kind of things, with the upbringing that you're coming from, the house where you have been brought up, where it has been told to you, it has been conditioned to you since your childhood that this is right and this is wrong. This is right for you as a male, this is wrong for a female. And when you come with that kind of mindset to the workspace, how will things change all of a sudden? They will not change. So we will have to, as I said, we will have to conduct a lot of workshops, because these workshops will also sensitize the bystanders also. You had in an earlier question asked that what should bystander, and you will say that every time and again I'm answering the same thing and I'm saying conduct the workshops, conduct the workshops, and conduct the workshops. So when I mean the workshops, let me elaborate this, because I believe our audiences must be feeling very wanted. When I say workshops, I literally mean workshops. I do not mean PowerPoint presentations only. I specifically meant, which I said earlier, also showcasing certain videos, using Bollywood clippings, doing role plays, real scenarios like the one I said, those kind of comments. Many times people do not even believe that it could, fall under the purview of POSH Act. People will not even believe that asking somebody out for lunch, dinner, or coffee could come under POSH Act also. It can, if it has caused uncomfortness at the level of the female. It can if the tone was suggestive. It can if it has adversely impacted. So please treat POSH Act as beyond the legal briefings kind of things, where, legal briefing is this is the act, this is how we go about it. We will have to foster up a speak up culture. Now, in any organization, what is a speak up culture? That if you come up with your opinions honestly, we are not going to backlash on you. Many bystanders do not speak because of the fear of that backlash.
Right.
They feel that maybe I would be reprimanded, maybe I would be scolded, something untoward will happen to me. So,
Mm.
first of all, you need to create that environment. And this is where the top leadership becomes important, because you asked me about the top leadership. So, visible top leadership, I'm asking, commenting on visible top leadership. Now, you would ask what is visible, top leadership. In many companies, they are the founders. So the founders are not, available and accessible, and they are not usually visible. So visible top leadership are those people in the management who are usually visible, who are there in the office space, who are accessible, of course, not to the maybe the executive level employee, but at least to some people. So they should be, setting the precedent. They should be ones who should be celebrating positive action of such employees who come forward and
Mm.
report certain things. Then, secondly, there has to be a certain process for the bystanders also. And for that, the bystanders need to be trained. Okay, when you see situations like these, if you are fearful, if you do not know how to report, at least at that point of time, digress that perpetrator's mind.
Mm.
Immediately step and say, hey, excuse me, I wanted your support on this.
Mm.
Hey, excuse me, if you don't know that person, hey, excuse me, where is the way to the canteen? Just step in and allay that situation. Do something. Do something. But that needs to be cultivated. And that is why I said this cannot be cultivated by anybody and everybody. You will need specific people who can do that.
Mm.
You will need specific professional trained people who can train the other people and do that. So one will have the top leadership will have to ensure that if this is a dialogue, this is not a monologue. If you come with something to us, we are not going to backlash. We are going to celebrate your positive action, probably through internal newsletters. If you don't want to be named, we will not name, but we will highlight that one of our employees came forward and intervened and reported harassment, and this is something which is praiseworthy. This is what our organization stands for, and this is so praiseworthy. That is how people will start opening up. So, what I'm trying to say is, you will have to make the reporting safe and easy for your own employees. Maybe you could start with anonymous hotlines
Mhm.
or online forms, or you could employ, when you talk of legality, you could employ an external, what do you say, ombudsman or a lawyer, because people may be very fearful. I cannot be, diverging things here. So that thing will ensure some kind of transparency. Then there should have been a policy, again, supported by the top leadership, that we have zero tolerance for retaliation. There will be zero tolerance for retaliation on the behalf of the perpetrator. We will not tolerate it. And that is how you can, build up with the culture. So give your bystanders, and not only bystanders, others also, a specific tool. Like I gave you an example of, divert, distract,
Mm.
because they may be too, they may not directly go and address the harass. Hey, what are you doing? I mean, they may be feeling shy, hesitant, or timid because of the person's situation, or because of the person's power and authority in the organization, maybe, right? So imagine a mid-management person trying to, engage with a female in an inappropriate manner, and this is somebody who is a sweeper or a cleaner. Now,
Mm.
how does he interrupt him? So he can simply ignore, say, "अरे sir, एक minute sir, वो मुझे वहां चाय लेके जाना था," something of that sort.
Right. So everybody from the fourth grade to the top management should have a inclusivity into the POSH Act implementation in the office. Shipra, what steps can a POSH committee take to ensure emotional neutrality and fairness when it is into investigation, especially when there is an issue that has been triggered in the organization?
We are humans, we tend to get swayed. The point is this: to do a fact finding analysis. That is the only way out. And in fact, when you form the IC, you should be very mindful who all are there in your IC. I have noticed that many times, people want to, favor people, and not in the terms of that this will be my future sexual perpetrator. No, favor in the sense, okay, it is such a prestige issue that we have an IC here, so let us involve him also and her also, and they'll be offended if you do not, involve them. And, this is such a nice person. So it is not about nice person here. It is about who all will be the best fit here. So try and scout for people who are known to be calm, who are known to be transparent, who are known to be vocal, who are known to be empathetic. Search for these qualities. Try and find people who have matured level of, talking to people. And this is something which HR can always, revert and give you the details on this. You need not always, scout for the head of the departments every time. You can have people even from D class employees. If they have that level of maturity, if they've seen life, you can involve them. And that is important. Then sometimes you have people who are pretty young, right? They may have only work space professional experience of say 8 years or 9 years, but they could be a beautiful member out there. Why? Because they have that kind of engagement. Everybody try and have those people on the IC who have very good image in the eyes of the masses. Now what I'm, who are the masses here? Your entire employees, put together, irrespective of the managerial level or the other level. These are the kind of people you can have in your IC to begin with. Then, whenever there's a case, as I said, you please engage in fact finding analysis. Keep your emotions at bay and take it the way it is, right? You could have sometimes, fake reporting. You could have the female trying to take undue advantage of this particular act. So do not allow that. So do an FFA, remain empathetic, and say and see the kind of words that you use here. Okay, we are with you. We assure you, but we need to understand few details. Okay, that is important. Again, to the person who has been, specifically pointed out that you are the perpetrator, again, you need to be empathetic to that person as well. You need to give a, safe hearing to that person as well. So FFA is, let's take a hypothetical situation where a person gets harassed, sexually harassed. Or the question to be asked was, why did ABC sexually harass PQR? Now, why am I saying ABC? Why am not saying Mr. or Mrs. or Miss ABC? Because we need to understand ABC can be of any sex. ABC can be a female, ABC can be a male, and ABC can be other sex also. And please mark my words, I've been using the word sex because sex is the connotation of the way we were born or how we orient ourselves, whereas gender is the way the society perceives us to behave and perform and act. So that is why I'm saying sex. So first, if you can, as a part of IC, if you can sort that why, a lot of things will become clear. Because many times, as I've already discussed, that there are a lot of, reasons which lead to sexual harassment. Is it because this person was feeling insecure? Is it because this person wanted to, express his or her supremacy? Is it because of the patriarchal mindset? Is it because PQR was a very, soft bait to, engage with? So that why needs to be first addressed. The moment that why is addressed, a lot of things will come into, picture, and maybe it will give you a perspective whether this case is true or fake. And then we can answer who all were involved. So who all are definitely the perpetrator and definitely the victim. And if there are any bystanders, if there are any witnesses, everybody else who has been witnessing or has any knowledge of the backdrop of this becomes who. And when you move forward, then what all happened? So what all can be there? The description comes in. Then you have when did it happen? So when basically gives you the date, gives you the timeline, And it also, it can also, was it offline or online, digitally? Was it like traveling while traveling on work or how? And then last, where? So again, where could be the location? It could be like digital also, it could be specific location. And last and pertinent one, this is the five things done under FFA plus one. That one is how. So how will be exact manifestation. So it was through a song. What was done? He sang a song. Which song was that? How? And how did he sing the song? The gestures and everything. So you get a complete picture here. And I think that is going to help the IC to decide
Okay.
whether the
So
case is fake or true.
true. So when such an incident happens, what role can an emotional intelligence play in restoring the trust, collaboration? Everything is broken one by one incident, right? So we have to restore that trust and collaboration and morale in terms of the harassment incident in the workspace back again. How do we go about it, Shipra?
So see, there are two things. Whose morale has broken? Are we talking only in terms of victim, or are we talking in terms of the organization as well?
Probably the whole
Because things,
organization.
yes, because things spread fast and people say, I don't believe this. This is happening at a place where I also work.
Hmm.
And I don't believe this, that I go to this place on daily basis and I have met that person for so many innumerable number of times. Or what if this could have been me?
Hmm.
Or people, thinking and hypothesizing those kind of things. So I think the restoration, one thing is this, that the senior leadership has to step in immediately. The senior leadership has to immediately, come up with certain kind of punitive steps as far as the, so-called perpetrator is concerned, because the, I would say, investigation is not complete, so you cannot brand the person as a perpetrator. But they can say that we have taken this into cognizance, and immediately we have, as they do in police, this person has been suspended. So you need to take some kind of punitive action.
Mhm.
And if the person comes across as clean, then again you need to take another action of apology and restoring that person's prestige as well.
Right.
So punitive actions have to be taken both ways, which are immediate actions, which one, as I said, as an example, was a suspension. Because in workspaces, that is what can happen. Actions like transfers happen only and only when it has been established that the act was perpetrated by this person. You cannot go into that immediately. Actions like, you will have to come up with some kind of compensation can happen only after the investigation. Actions like you will have to apologize in front of everybody or write an apology letter, that can happen only after the investigation has been done. What can be immediately done is this kind of an action, which is just an example.
Mhm.
Okay. Or, immediately calling out some kind of a general assembly or some kind of a general body meeting with all the directors there, and everybody taking a decision. We do not, support such kind of activities. And if this is a big organization, doing a small press conference as well, that we definitely do not support it and we've initiated a thorough investigation, so that people know that action has started taking place. It is
Mhm.
not something which will happen, and because everybody knows, it takes a lot of time for the IC to, they are given nice 90 days to come up with their wrap up with their investigation. At that point of time, just imagine the perpetrator walking freely in the same area and the victim also in the same area, and a lot of sympathizers of the victim also in the same area.
Right. And some supporting the perpetrator might be also there.
Exactly. So you can imagine the kind of environment it would be. It is like A versus B.
Hmm. So coming to the end of the session, what could be the most effective way to measure whether a workspace culture is truly seemingly more respectful and understood according to the POSH implications?
So I'll say there is no one right way of doing things, but there are thousand way of doing wrong things. And I would say million ways of doing wrong things. So the only thing is just to check the health and hygiene of any organization is find out if your women or the female staff is willing to work at odd hours, they are willing to travel, and this has to be a random check. This is not to be with women who are very outgoing and extrovert. This is not with women who are already in those departments and positions which require them to stay at odd hours, work at long hours. And this is not definitely testing women who are already working night shifts, because there are a lot of organizations where you have night shifts. So you will have to, go and do these random checks with those kind of people who themselves are not very, very comfortable, extending themselves. If these women report to you that I feel safe here, you know that you are working good. Because otherwise, I know a lot of production units, and in fact, such production units where all employees are women except the administration and management, which comprises of both females and males. So can you imagine your production sites 24 into 7, all shifts, the primary staff, 90% of them is female on the assembly line, whatever products they are making. So the organization has done those kind of provisions. It goes, the buses are there, the logistics are there, every kind of thing is there. Thus, I would say not only, simple things like restrooms, but you've got nursing rooms also for females there, where they sometimes they can bring in their little babies. That is what speaks about the health of the organization.
Okay.
So if an organization has these kind of spaces, and nowadays it's a fashion, we will give you paternity leave and maternity leave, and along that with I will not comment on that with that if it is fashionable, if it is a good thing to happen. But if a lady is really, allowed to bring around a nursing child, how easy for her it is to, go towards the nursing room without facing those lewd and awkward glances from everybody, without, listening to those muffling smiles and ha ha ha, there she goes, those kind of things. If that is happening, then this speaks volumes about the hygiene of the organization. That definitely people consider it to be safe.
So, Shipra, coming to this, what are or how many times or how often should organizations conduct a kind of training or workshop for this in any organization?
Well, if you're asking in the terms of statutory or legal requirement, then at least one in a year is the, I would say, the figure under POSH Act 2013. But then we can have it as many as number of times. There is no specific number or a quantity of figure to it. But if you would ask me to share some kind of a best practice, I would say it will also depend upon the size of the organization, the kind of employees who are involved there, the bandwidth of the organization, the operations of the organization. So the best practice, if I had to generalize, would be, I would say, make it a continuous journey and not just an annual event or a monthly event or a quarterly event, a continuous journey. For example, let's say these are people who have just joined this organization, irrespective of whether they're freshers out of the college or they have joined this particular organization after 15 years of experience somewhere else. So there could be an induction session for all the new joiners, irrespective of whatever level of hierarchy they are joining, whatever job profile they are into joining, and whatever is their age. So induction sessions for every new joining, then followed by some kind of refresher modules, which can be spaced, timed out, maybe quarterly or monthly, depending upon the ease of execution. And I would suggest refresher modules we can have every 6 months or every quarter. So that would be like 4 refresher modules in a year, or maybe 2 refresher modules in a year. And all these refresher modules should be very short and crisp. They should be scenario based, real life scenario based. and they could be imparted, if not offline, maybe digitally as well. Okay. Then we can also have special focus sessions. Suppose special focus sessions, I would feel would really benefit the IC, the internal committee members, and people who are in high risk roles, with this lot of interaction with different kind of genders, where you have a lot of interaction with females and people in leadership roles. So we could have special focus sessions. And then apart from all these things, we could have micro learning sessions, short videos, short quiz, bites, regularly sent to all the employees in different kind of languages, vernacular languages in particular. If the organization is spread across different kind of, I would say, global continents, or even in like in India, in different kind of states, that is going to really help. So I think I have answered that question, that primarily, if I need to sum it up, there needs to be a continuity. It shouldn't be just, one random event in a year.
As you said, it could be bit size so that it is digestible,
Yeah.
easy to do, and then can be done on the go. But at the same time, the
Right.
awareness is kept on renewing all over the place and time. So that was a good thing
Yes.
that you said. So coming to the end of the session, what advice or what would be a suggestion that you would want to give anyone out there as an audience to our podcast?
So just one word, if we could all immerse ourselves into it, that comes to my mind is respect. So, respect is the foundation of every relationship, isn't it? Whether
Yes.
it's your personal relationship with your family members or friends, or even your spouse, or with your children. So, what do we mean by respect? Respect is something that comes with certain boundaries. It is built on trust. It is built on acceptance of who the next person is. So whenever there is respect, there is growth, because then people know how to exist with each other with a lot of differences. And the growth would be personal growth as well as professional growth. So in terms of professional growth, when you look at organizations, when people learn to, respect each other, respect each other's boundaries, the big foundation being trust, the organizations also prosper. So posh everybody nowadays, and I mean, people think it in this way, that posh is a lot about moral policing and bringing the legal aspects to moral policing. No, it is about protection of anybody's dignity. It is about enabling everyone to bring out their best versions, their best selves to work. If you really see something happening, please say something. Please do not keep quiet, right? Because each one of us, each single person who is in a workspace, we all have definitely the power to make our workspaces better. If you think you can directly confront it, the perpetrator, do it. If you cannot do it, distract. And if you think that you cannot distract, you cannot interfere, you cannot and directly, talk to these people, then you escalate. You take it to your anybody you trust, a senior member. But do something about it, right? You just do not, keep quiet. That is my last word.
Thank you, Shipra, for such a wonderful insight to POSH, and we're taking it beyond compliance to fully accept it into how to shape your safety and be respectful to everyone out there along with you. And to my audience or our audience, remember, change starts with one person. If you can be that one person, awareness is more than enough. So if you can take that one step forward and lead with empathy, then that is enough to change the the catalyst process will start off from there. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and let us know what else you want to hear on the podcast. Thank you. Thank you, Shipra, for once again being here. This is the third time. I think we'll have some more with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this beautiful podcast, and thank you for documenting this. Thank you, everybody.